You should be good to go.
Okay. Good evening. I'd like to call the November 10th, 2020 Board of Directors for Clover Garden School to order at 6:31 p.m. Ms. Verakian, please let us know role of the board and mission.
Okay, role of the board. We are entrusted to care for the current school and stay focused on the vision for the future school. No trust, no unity, no progress. The mission of Clover Garden School. Clover Garden School will foster community, generate enthusiasm, challenge students academically, and produce successful citizens.
Okay. Has everyone had a chance to review the agenda for November 10th, 2020? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Ms. Saunders, approved. Second, Mr. Brooks. All in favor? Agenda approved. Has everyone reviewed the minutes from October? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from October?
I got it done now.
Mr. Huffine,
Yeah.
second.
Yeah, we need to make a correction.
Oh, okay, sorry.
The long range should be October 2nd instead of October 4th. Under section 7, governance. Page 2.
I'm sorry, Mr. Huffines, I could not hear the correction that you're recommending.
It's B4 under 7 on page 2. It should be October 4th. It should be October 2nd instead of October 4th when we met.
Oh, okay.
The presentation. It's my comment.
Any other changes? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes, the October minutes with the correction? Ms. Foster, second. Mr. Huffines, all in favor? October meeting minutes have been approved. Ms. Verakian, do we have anyone for public comment?
No, ma'am.
Okay, good. We have any special guests? I assume due to virtual, we are remaining to keep those guests off campus.
Yes, ma'am, that's true. The only two that are here are presenting this afternoon.
Okay. That moves us on to finances. Ms. Simmons, the October monthly budget.
Yes, in your board packet, we have the October monthly budget for your approval.
Are there any questions about the October budget? Any concerns? Do I have an approval to approve the October 2020 budget? Ms. Foster, do I have a second? Ms. Saunders, all in favor? October 2020 budget has been approved. Anything else, Mrs. Simmons, for the finances?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Academics. Ms. Moore, do you have the principal's report?
Yes, ma'am. So for our principal's report today, I'm happy to announce that on Friday, October 30th, we asked our teachers and staff to come on campus to begin training that will prepare them for January when students come on campus. We're super excited. We cannot wait to hopefully have them with us. The teachers and staff learned what we have done so far to prepare for students to return, and they were trained on cleaning expectations, and were given the opportunity to work in their room to brainstorm and figure out how to set up the room in a way that meets expectations. And then after lunch, teachers and staff who volunteered to help with our focus groups met to learn expectations and procedures in preparation for students coming on campus on Monday, November the 2nd. Also on October 30th, we hosted our first ever trunk or treat drive-through event, and oh my gracious, it was so much fun. We had 17 staff members who decorated their trunks and passed out candy to 152 vehicles and over 200 students, including 25 brand new families. Brand new families, we're working really hard to connect with them, so they got some Clover Garden swag from Clover that says, "Welcome to Clover Garden School," and a little bag full of stickers and all kinds of fun stuff. We gave out over 10,000 pieces of candy that night and 200 donuts to the first 200 kids that were there. And it was just so fun to see. We needed that. Our spirits needed that, and I think our families needed that too. So, but this event could not have taken place without all of our teachers and our volunteers that made it happen. These two ladies right here were our candy go-getters. I mean, last minute, we looked at our reservation numbers and we're like, oh, it's grown by 150. We need some more candy. They ran out and got it, and we had just all kinds of people volunteering to help. So we really appreciate them and our families, of course, for coming out. On November the 2nd, our 3 focus groups that y'all approved last month started, and we have already received tons of positive feedback from those people and families that are participating in those focus groups, especially from our staff. It feels like a big old heavy weight has been lifted off of them, and they are very appreciative of that. Our students are in the building, they're smiling, they're being successful, they're turning in work. We've got kids that are participating in campus conferences that have never been on campus conferences this year, and so their classmates are like, oh my gosh, they're like celebrities, you know, because they're finally seeing their classmates for the first time, which is awesome. For an enrollment update, I want to let you know that our lottery is set, or our open enrollment is set to open on January 4th and run until March 5th, and the actual lottery will take place on March 8th at 2 o'clock. So that seems like eons from now, but it's really here at our back door. So we're using lotteries again this year for our lottery service, and the drawing will be an online event, and families will be able to apply using the link on Clover Garden's website. And our enrollment committee is working super hard, or they're getting ready to meet to talk about how we can push Clover Garden out into our communities, how we can drum up business, so to speak, for lack of a better term, but to let people know that we're here and that we are open enrollment season. So things that they talked about in the past that we're going to bring to fruition: a virtual tour of the school, hosting information sessions for prospective families, creating welcome packets for our new families, and then hopefully developing a calendar of events that focuses on engaging our new families. Of course, that will depend on what happens with COVID. But and then we currently have 642 students enrolled at Clover Garden, and the current wait list is 590 students. For a marketing update, we're super excited. Ms. Thompson has been working hard on this for a while now, quite a few months, but we're working with Pit Printing in Burlington to create an online store where our families will be able to purchase Clover Garden swag and hopefully be little walking billboards. We all want to, you know, promote our awesome school. So we're really excited about that opportunity. Professional development update. I just thought this was some interesting data for you. So from the beginning of the year to last week on November 3rd, our teachers have participated in 104 workshops, and that they have logged CEU credits for. And it's been a total of 221 and a half hours. So just imagine everything that they've been doing so far with their online distance learning and learning a new system and all this, but they're still investing in themselves and in their profession to learn and to grow to be better. So I think that is amazing and should be applauded that they are continuing to push themselves even during this pandemic. For our compliance reports, our LEA self-assessment was due on Friday, October 30th, and Ms. Garrison did the bulk of the work on this report, and it was submitted, so we're good there. And then our teacher working conditions survey, we shared this with y'all a few months back, but it is now official because they have shared it with the State Board of Education last week, And I've got a link on here that shows you our teacher working survey data. And you can also see all the other charter schools in North Carolina. So I've added that there so you can compare the schools that you want to compare us to on your own time. So that's pretty cool. And then for our upcoming dates, we have Veterans Day tomorrow. So we have told our staff and our students, do not work tomorrow. It is a holiday. You need to make sure that your computer stays closed and that you are offline and just enjoy the time with your family. We've got our BOD mid-year work session coming up this Saturday. We have our Thanksgiving break and our Christmas break. And there are 28 days until our Christmas break. Teachers, if you're watching, you just got 28 days. We can do this, all right? And, sorry, one more thing. Our Canvas updates, we've got a great report here. There's a couple things I want to share with you. So in quarter 2, student activity has increased. Submissions by students have increased by 32% daily. So that is positive. And more students are completing their assignments. So that tells me hopefully we're in a groove. They know what they're doing. They feel more confident and things are getting done. We did learn that students are skipping instructional videos. So they're working from their to-do list or their calendar. They're not going into the module. So we're still working on reminding them you need to go into your module. You need to work from there and not just your to-do list. Another cool thing is we've got a new tool for Canvas admin where we can see snapshots of student progress and activities and their grades in real time. So, you know, somebody saying, well, I am working, we can pull this up and be like, no, dear, you're really not, you know, data doesn't lie. So I got that. And then we've got, last time I shared with you all the assignments, but since our last meeting, our teachers have put in 145 new assignments, 56 discussions, 377 files, and then 362 videos. Our teachers are continuing to work super hard. And let me make sure I'm not skipping anything else that I want to share. That is it. All right. So thank y'all so much. And thank you, Ms. Reagan, for this report right here.
Thank you, Ms. Moore.
Yes, ma'am.
Moving on to old business, the cross-country course. No new updates on this. We do have a meeting with the athletic boosters, so hopefully more to come in our January meeting. Moving on to Title I, Mrs. Varican.
No updates at this time.
Okay. Well monitoring reports, Mrs. Simmons.
There are no updates at this time.
Okay. That takes us down to reopening plan updates, Mrs. Varican.
Okay. All right, so today I didn't do as formal of like a presentation that we did last meeting, but just wanted to focus on the key areas that we talked about at our last meeting. We've made some changes and some updates in our building. I know Ms. Moore spoke a little bit to this with bringing our groups back on campus. So I'm just going to kind of give you an update of kind of where we're at. So I thought I'd first start with the metrics. So as a reminder, our Health and Wellness Committee meets quite frequently, and Dr. Bone is a part of that, who's our epidemiologist. So she tries to keep us in the loop on what's going on with COVID-19, how the virus is trending, patterns and things of that nature. So if you take a look, what we did was we put the prior metrics from October at the top and then the current metrics as of today at the bottom. So you'll see some positives here. So if you take a look compared to last month, Alamance County was at 395 for the number of new cases in the last 14 days. Now Alamance County has dropped a little bit. We're down to 367. In Caswell County, number of cases per in the last 14 days, you had 562. Caswell has dropped significantly to 332. But Guilford County has gone in the opposite direction. So Guilford County was at 258, and now they are at 352. So the reason, just to remind you, the reason that we chose these 3 counties is these 3 counties feed in the majority of our student population. So that's why we kind of focus on these 3 areas. Percentage of positive tests during the last 14 days. So Alamance County back in October was 8.2%. They have dropped. They are now in the green to 4.8%. Tazewell was at 11.3% in October and are now at 8.3%. And Guilford County was 5.8% and have now increased to 6.6%. So just to kind of let you see some information, of course, I know there's different variables that kind of go into this data. And so the next 2 pages, just to give you information, this is the current trends by the different counties based on the positive cases. And then on the last page is a page that we're going to try to include in our next survey that goes out to our families on what to do and how to screen for COVID and, you know, how to, or what to do if your child is experiencing symptoms and things like that. So just wanted to make sure you had this information. We will continue to monitor the metrics. Like I said, this was as of today. They are nervous about this season, as we knew kind of coming into it. So we will continue to monitor that. We will meet with Health and Wellness again next week, but that's the current update. So just so you have those metrics. So other updates. So like Ms. Moore said, we have been able to bring back 3 different focus groups on campus the past 2 weeks, and it has been phenomenal. We have seen improvement from our kids submitting assignments, turning things in, participating in those live conferences, watching their instructional videos. They just needed that supervision. They needed someone to help them stay on track. So that's been very beneficial for our kids that have been on campus. So we have about an average of 14 kids per day in our staff focus group. So one of the groups that we have is the child care for our teachers. And I have had, and Ms. Moore has had more than one staff member say, thank you so much, because I can work when I'm at work and then my kids still doing their assignments. And then when we leave at nighttime, they can actually be a parent and answer emails if they need to, but their kids have completed their assignments. So we have about an average of 14 kids in there every day, and about 2 staff members that are working per shift. So our teacher assistants have been phenomenal in helping with these different groups. And we did have this running from around 9 to 4. We had to back it up just a little bit because at 9 o'clock, a lot of kids have conferences starting. So we need somebody in there before 9 o'clock to help them get started. And so they're not really staying all the way till 4 o'clock. Most days they're going to shut up about 3 o'clock. So staff has been very appreciative of that. So in our student focus group, we've got about 30 students that are on the list. We only had 1 absent all week due to illness. And then there were 2 no-shows last week. Being in this focus group is a privilege. And so there is a 3 absent, I guess, minimum or maximum, excuse me, a 3 absence maximum. So if you miss 3 days, you're out. And we go down our wait list because there is a wait list running for this student focus group. Parents want their kids in here. Kids want to be in here. So we have had some very frank conversations with kids this week and last week that if you're not going to do your work while you're here in this safe space and use this opportunity, then we will find children that will. So we've had some very frank conversations with kids and their parents. So again, for the most part, it's been very beneficial. Kids have been completing their work and participating in assignments that they had never done at all. So it's been very beneficial. And then our EC group has been coming in first thing in the morning. So they're running about 9 to 12 students on Mondays and Wednesdays. And then approximately 4 students or 4 groups running on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And they're coming in the mornings between like 8 and 10. So those are great. Those are some related services such as physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech, those kind of things have been offered. So it's been very nice to have that opportunity for our kids. So focus groups are good. Everybody's following the rules and procedures. So that's been a great positive thing. Okay. So next, want to talk a little bit about our health and wellness update and kind of what we've been working on. So our families in kindergarten through 2nd grade will be getting a survey very soon so that we can get a final number of who is willing to send their children in January and who plans to stay remote. So we're working on that survey now. We're trying to put a little bit of detail into the survey so that families have a real clear picture of what school will look like in January. It's not going to look like what it has been in the past and what they think school was. It will be different because of all the COVID-19 restrictions. So we are working on that now. Other things we're looking into are diagrams to families to just give them some more information about what happens if someone gets sick. If someone does test positive for COVID, what are you going to do? What procedures does the school have in place? So we're going to try to get some of those diagrams out to those families as well soon. We are also looking at a checklist for our cleaning crew, similar to kind of what you see if you go to like a doctor's office, things like that. You know how they have like a checklist on the back of the board that someone has cleaned that room and things like that. We're looking at trying to get something like that prepared for our cleaning, just to kind of put these things in place now so that we'll be prepared in January. Other things, and Ms. Cox, I don't want to take away from you. Did you want to do your updates and then I'll just hit what you need?
We're still researching the ventilation system and all that kind of good stuff.
I don't want to take away from
Go ahead.
I didn't take from Ms. Cox, take away from Ms. Cox. She's been working really hard on this part.
What she's not saying is I did a lot of that talking on Friday with staff, so I think she's got it covered.
She did. Ms. Cox did a fantastic presentation with our staff on October 30th. She did a 2-hour presentation on this information and updates for our staff. We had them all on campus and with social distance, more masks, and they really got a eye-opening opportunity for what this all entails and what it will look like to bring kids back. So she did a great job with that presentation. Other things that we've gotten, looking at lanyards to kind of hold on to the kids' masks, especially for elementary age students. So working on those. We were looking at maintenance right now in the building, such as the ventilation system, heating and air, as well as making sure that, you know, water lines are running and they're clean and they're clear. Just trying to do some overhaul, make sure things run the way it should be, since no one has been, you know, we have not been at full capacity, you know, since March. So just some of those things we've been looking at. K2 teachers have been cleaning out rooms and eliminating any extra stuff so we can make room for the students and their desks. We've got cubbies that have now, they should be in by the end of the week, so that all of our students K-5 will have either a locker or a cubby to store their own personal stuff in. Just trying to adhere to some of the guidelines in the material from the state. Still doing our calls with Alamance County Health Department. That's been really beneficial. They share information with us frequently. And one of the other things that has been a focus lately that I would just like us to kind of think about, make sure I'm not hitting on my other pieces. Just want to think about our return date. So right now we have the return date of January 4th for all of our kids to come back. Just want to think about that a little bit. Some folks are concerned with the holidays. And, you know, kids coming into contact with different family members. We know that some schools are doing a 2-week, 14-day quarantine type period after the holidays are over. So just something for us to kind of contemplate. About 2 weeks in January would put us right after Martin Luther King Jr. Day, I think, which is the 19th of January. So just want us to give some thought to that. If we want to stay on task or on course and say, hey, January 4th is it. Or we want to really think about that with, you know, the kids coming into contact and traveling and seeing different family members over the Christmas and which holiday may want to think about that. So some folks are doing that 2-week quarantine type, you know, time when families get back from the holidays. So just need to know if you would like us to continue with the January 4th, or if we want to discuss that maybe later about returning, you know, 2 weeks later on the 19th. So. Just food for thought, that was a big one that we spoke about today. And so our next steps, we have a staff meeting scheduled on November 20th. So we're going to do an update with everybody on what we've been working on with the Health and Wellness Committee. And then Dr. Ballman is actually going to do a Q&A with our staff as well. So gives them an opportunity to ask those questions that they may not have thought about or may not know the answers to. She's going to try to help with some of those questions. And the last update I have for you. So at the last meeting, we decided to move forward with athletics in December, and band has kind of been put on hold. So based on our latest feedback from the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, playing instruments and singing are still very dangerous activities. But Mr. Brad did work very hard on trying to find alternatives. What can we do instead? It's the winter months, so you can't be outside as much as you wish you could be outside. So this is not something we need to vote on today, but I would like for us to kind of review it. You guys asked him to come up with a proposal similar to what athletics did for returning for marching band and playing music. So he has come up with 3 different options there. He's come up with his plan A, plan B, plan C that have different dates of starting and moving and working together. But again, I would like for you to read over some of the accommodations, I guess you would call them, or modifications he's made to help make the band department a safer space, such as those instrument covers we were talking about, of course, with adding screenings, things like that. And especially with those wind instruments, that's a big one they talked about. It's dangerous to do that because of the aerosol and in the air there. So the transmission of the virus is much more common that way. So he talks about putting the kids in different pods, having a packet very similar to what athletics showed you last month with all these checklists and all these things that the families would have to do in order to participate in our program. Talking about rehearsals, in one door, out the other door, and then how the instructors will disinfect in between each child, each group that's in there. Like I said, entering one way, exiting the others. So just take a look at this proposal. These are just options to try to get our band program going again. Now, there are some schools that have their band program running. It's just different. Same thing with chorus. They've kind of moved it to more of a history of music, those kind of things that takes away from your traditional singing and playing music and things like that. So, like Dr. Ballman said earlier today, play the drums, no big deal. Playing the clarinet and things like that, or the tuba. That's going to be where there's going to be some excessive law in the air. So just some things to think about for us to review to give him some guidance in moving forward after the holidays and when semester 2 begins. So and that, I believe, is it for my updates for now. Any questions about any of those?
So no further questions at this time about reopening plans? Okay. Moving on to governance and committee updates.
No updates from the governor's committee.
Finance committee did meet regarding the end of year budget. We have I believe went through all of that information and had that vote last month. So I think we do have a few items coming up, but status quo there as well. As academic, Ms. Foster.
Yes, the academic team has met. In fact, we met this evening before our meeting. There have work check-ins done in grades 3 through 8, and that data has been received and given to the parents. The parents have received that information. There will be other check-ins in December and January, Math 1, as well as check-ins again for grades 3 through 8, and we will meet again and see how those compare to the ones in October. The teachers have gotten together and come up with some strategies to hopefully work on those check-in scores and see some improvement from the October to the January check-in time.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Foster. Long-range planning, Mr. Huffine.
Okay, so we did meet on October 23rd, just to go over as a committee to review our selected architects, proposal, scope, fee, and everything like that. So as you can imagine, prices for construction is sky high right now. So our estimate is higher than what we anticipated. So right now we are considering looking at different kinds of financing options. So that's pretty much where we're at as far as our extension project. So I also wanted to hand out some information about who we selected. So our architects, so you guys can kind of see who they are, the information about them and things like that. So thank you. So we will be going with this architect, just a matter of sitting down and going through our budget and different types of financing that's offered to us. That's pretty much my update.
Thank you, Mr. Huffine. The 20-year committee, again, no update at this time. I think after the first of the year, we'll probably have a kickoff meeting and determine what we may be able to do depending on how things go with COVID next year. Mid-year Board of Directors work session is for this Saturday, November 14th. We will be in the boardroom there at Clover Garden School, and we'll be there from 11 to 4 p.m. Any other updates or questions regarding committees? Moving on to new business. Mrs. Simmons, the public water system permit.
Yes, in your packet for record, we have received our 2021 permit to operate a community public water system.
Has everyone had a chance to look at that within our packets? Is there any questions? Okay. Next on the agenda is grade category and weight proposal for middle school and high school. I believe Mrs. Reagan and Mrs. Taylor are available.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Just want to say good evening and thank y'all for letting us speak tonight on behalf of middle school and high school. Ms. Taylor and myself are the grade level representatives for high school and middle school. And we've been kind of talking about this topic for last year and this year. And you've got kind of a breakdown of everything with you. So we have just an agenda, kind of what we're going to talk about tonight is our current policy of what the handbook says for teachers, staffs, and parents. What we propose as the new policy for starting next year would be kind of the reasons and the data behind those policy changes, what the actual staff handbook and the parent and student handbook would actually say, and then kind of our rollout plan of how we want to introduce this for the teacher's perspective and for our family's perspective. So currently, our handbooks for staff, students, and parents say that our weight percentages and our categories for how our students get their final grades for their quarters as well as for their entire course grade is tests and quizzes are 42%, classwork and projects are 42%, and homework is 16%. And the note down there at the bottom says that's across the board, 6 through 12 in every subject. And like I said, we've talked about this in grade level meetings for the past 2 years. And kind of as a grade level, middle and high school, thought that this needed to be equitable and personal for each department. So myself, I teach science, so I can kind of speak on that behalf, that we have labs, and in those, current policy, there's nowhere in there that says labs or laboratories. So, I kind of try to throw that into a test or a project. But really, in a science perspective, that's a big deal. In colleges, every college course, for 3 credit hours of the lecture, you have 1 credit hour of lab. Like, that's an entirely, totally different course. And our goal for our students is that we prepare them from middle school to high school and then high school to college. And if we want to really stick with that, then we propose these changes. So you can see the policy changes. I know it's tiny. I'm sorry. I thought I would have a TV, but it's okay. It's okay. Each department met at the end of September. So we met as departments, science, math, social studies, and English, and they debated, they talked about it, they looked at data, they looked at research, they looked at other school systems. So I challenged them to look at Guilford County, Alamance, Burlington County, look at different schools and see how they do it. And a lot of those schools, if not all of them, pretty much, allowed the teachers to decide what they wanted in their classrooms, as opposed to what their categories and their weights would be. And we're not going as far as to, give them all free reign. We thought as a grade level, for Clover Garden schools to at least stick in departments. So having math have a say in what their middle school students would have as their categories and their weights, and then their standards versus their honors versus their AP. So each department is broken up into those categories. You have middle school, you have standard courses or academic courses, you have honors, and then you have AP if that department offers those types of courses. For some of the data, do you want me to go through all of those? Okay, just wondering. Some of the data that our math department broke up for us is that we want these categories and these teacher autonomy to promote, competence, relatedness. We did some research on the self-determination theory, which is a process that humans seek opportunities for autonomy, competence, and relatedness, and that an environment that supports all 3 of these cultivates their intrusive motivation to learn and to grow. And the 3 ways to nurture this in an education standpoint is to support their teachers' need for autonomy, to help their teachers feel confident, and foster relatedness among our staff. So that was why, and that was a big part of the data of why we wanted our teachers to break up in their departments to make these decisions, and not just a middle school versus a high school, do it as a math as a whole, etc. So also looking at students' grades, that we think that they should be based on their ability to show mastery of skills and concepts. And the way that the majority of our departments broke this up was 80 to 85% of the students' grade in a standard class is determined by their assessments. 90% of a student's grade in an honors or AP class is determined by their assessments. So when you look at the grade categories, kind of their reasoning behind weighting a test more than a homework. We also said, collectively as a whole, that homework really isn't checked for accuracy, it's more of a practice. So we didn't feel that it needed to be weighted as much. Middle school and standard demonstrates a lower weight on tests, but still the same philosophy that grades based upon demonstrated of mastery of their discipline. Also, quizzes, homework, and classwork should be more of a formative assessment for teachers. They should be used to check understandings, to plan, and to group their students according to their levels, not a gotcha kind of moment. And with quizzes in the current state of being at 42%, a lot of our teachers' feedback is like, we just don't do pop quizzes because it would kill their grades. And we don't feel like that's very fair. Yes, a pop quiz is a good idea to check and make sure they're on their toes, but not a got you moment. I've also listed out the link to the handbook for what the actual handbook would read and how that would be formatted. according to the current handbook, and just changing the wording, changing our information for our parents on how their quarter grades would be calculated, how their course grade would be calculated, and how that looks different for a semester class versus a year-long class as well. And then our rollout plan is obviously we're going to train our staff. We found out that with remote and distance learning, some of our staff didn't even have syllabus for their class or syllabus for their classes. So we structured that and kind of helped them build those things. But now with having grade categories and weights different across our departments, we have to be able to educate our families and our students on what that is and how that means it's going to be different for a science perspective versus the ELA, math, or social studies and history class. We're also going to have those logistical changes in Power Teacher Pro. So PTP is Power Teacher Pro, that's the Power School Gradebook. So that's going to be a teaching curve for our teachers as well on how to set that up. We've learned a lot with distance and remote learning and with our check-ins with our teachers, just making sure that all of those things are set up in Power School. We had our math teacher, Mr. Chief, hold in-phase work sessions on guiding our teachers on how to set that up correctly so that our students do have accurate calculations of their grades. And then lastly is informing our students and our parents, and hopefully we'll talk more in our enrollment committee in the next couple of weeks and months on how we can do a virtual curriculum fair. Ms. Taylor and I have already started brainstorming this. And once we get a real set on what we think would be the best option and researching that, having that virtual curriculum night for our parents due to COVID, we think is going to be the best way to introduce this if approved. And I've got some references down there for our data. Anybody have any questions for either of us?
So quick question.
Yes, sir.
I'm seeing history and electives pretty much same percentages across the board. What makes ELA and science a little different as far as the different percentages?
I think what history is more, it doesn't have the labs like history or like science has. So I know that was a difference with them. I would have to say I wasn't a part of their department meetings, so I don't want to answer for them, but I can definitely ask and get that information back to you guys. We kind of let them decide what those percentages would be. Do you want to speak on ELA?
ELA is a little bit different too with history, because you have the writing piece in here, and then there's different discussions that tie in with the North Carolina State standards.
But I can ask Ms. Wilson, who does a lot with history too as well, and let you know.
Okay.
Yes, sir. We're excited about this. I will tell you that much. Very excited.
Has anyone done any testing where you apply a student, you know what grade they made last year, and you apply these new variables to what they made last year, and how does it work?
No, sir. I will do that.
And like do like a half a dozen of them or something?
Right, yeah, no, that's absolutely an excellent question. And that is something that I most definitely can do and get you the numbers on that. Excellent. Yes, sir.
I do like the fact that you're using your assessments as a higher weight, but I also like the fact that you have putting in other areas for those students who don't test well. And so you're giving them that opportunity with classwork and discussion and participation, homework and such. The fact that you're able to do that, it's gonna, it'll kind of balance those who might not be great test takers. So I like the way you have done it, Lee.
Thank you. I can speak for science and just kind of in my personal and Ms. Reagan teaching philosophy is, I wasn't a good test taker as a student, still not today. It took me 3 tries to get my national board because I freaked out in a testing situation. But I also, can speak for, like I said, science where labs, if you're not a good test taker, if you look at the test percentage for science and the lab percentage, it's like 50-30. So it's like, even if you're not a good test taker, that lab's gonna bring that grade up. So you can still demonstrate mastery through laboratory work and hands-on work, as opposed to sitting down taking a multiple choice or fill in the blank test. So I think a lot of our teachers try to keep that in mind with, like you said, Ms. Foster, the discussion boards, the writing pieces, to give those students the opportunity. And then also challenging our students to register to themselves as an honors level student, because if you notice, there is a difference, well, not across the board, but there is a difference in some of the departments that honors is weighted more than an academic and AP more than honors. So our students have to self-assess themselves as, am I ready for that challenge? Because it's not going to be, even in a grade calculation format, it's not going to be as easy as it would be in a standard.
And the departments came up with these percentages as a group.
Correct. They met individually at the end of September. So we appreciate your support, and if y'all have any other questions you would like me or us to take back to our grade level meeting, we meet again next week for any follow-up information. Like I said, we appreciate y'all's support, and thanks. Thank you, Ms. Jean.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mrs. Reagan. Thank you, Mrs. Taylor. Are there any further questions about the proposal, or Mr. Brooks, would you like the exercise performed as requested before we make a vote, or would we like to move forward with the vote this evening?
Well, I would like to see about a half a dozen students, two students that are having trouble in a grade, two that are just average, and two students that are getting exceptional grades, and apply the old math and the new math to all six and see if it affects all of them equally, and how does it affect all of them equally? Do they all go up? Do they all go down? I'd just like to see some kind of, because it's simple math. I mean, it should be really easy to do, and I'd like to see some math on it and some data before I make a decision.
Okay. Are there any additional statistics requested, since we will be putting the vote on pause?
I have one question. Do you want that in every department, I assume, or any particular department?
I think 6 students.
In science, 6 students in each department?
Yes, you can do the same 6 students, but do them for all the departments.
Okay, yes, sir.
I think it'd be good to show all departments.
Okay.
That way we're not looking like we're picking and choosing.
Understood.
Have you got any feedback from parents on the change?
No, ma'am, we have not introduced this to our parents yet.
Okay, I'm just curious, because what it is now is very simple, easy versus what you do go into, so I was just curious.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, Ms. Lane, what was that question? I'm sorry.
I just asked if there was any feedback that had been gotten from parents yet.
Oh, okay. So I think once we see those requested statistics from the students, Mrs. Reagan, Mrs. Taylor, we will either hold a special board meeting to vote, or review and vote on that in January.
Thank you.
Welcome.
You don't have to do specials and electives,
Okay.
because there's no, we haven't graded participation before, and I'm not sure how they're planning on, I don't see how they can retroactively grade them. So don't worry about specials and electives,
Okay.
right?
Are there any other items or questions for open session at this time? Then I need a motion to move into closed session General Statute 143-18.11A1 at 7:21 PM on November 10th, 2020. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? All in favor? Thank you, Ms. Foster. Mr. Brooks? Ms. Verraken, please let us know when we're not streaming.
She already left. Whenever she says, do we have anything else for open session?
So, Ms. Verraken left?
She just stepped out.
Oh, okay.
Take our
I was like, what? Okay, does anyone need a bio break? Do we need to take 5 minutes before we go into closed items?
A restroom break.
Bio break.
And is Ms. Moore taking care of getting us off live stream?
Just you, hold on.